Big up, everyone, and good evening to all of you. I hope you're all having a great evening. And it's not football news about the Premier League. It's not football news about Manchester United, guys. But you know what? It's football news about world football as we gear up for the qualification process for the next World Cup 2026 United, guys. Over three countries spanning over a large North American continent, Mexico, USA, and Canada will be hosting the 2026 World Cup, guys. And it's also going to be a World Cup first of its kind. 48 teams to compete at this World Cup, guys. And as we see it, each conference have received bolstered positions for qualifying. Some receiving four, some receiving three, some receiving two, and others receiving one. Guys, how is this going to look? How interesting is this? I know it might not be the hottest topic right now, guys, but it's going to be very shortly. So let's just give you a little brief as me and my buddy Drex get into the topic as we talk about the pathways to qualifications and how does it happen. Guys, welcome my buddy Drex. Big up to all of you for coming through. If you're there, smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're new, hit the notification bell and get your comments in the subscriptions as we get going, guys. Let's start it off really quickly. And big up to everyone, guys. You know how it is. It's me and my buddy Drex, and we're going to get right into things as we start off with explaining what this means, guys. And you know what? The qualifications and World Cup road has begun. 2026 qualifying campaigns are now underway as nations vie for the place at the biggest World Cup ever in history. Guys, qualification started on September 2023. Paraguay versus Peru was the first match, and that was a match coming straight out of CONCACAF, guys, on the long road to Canada, Mexico, and USA 2026. Find out more about the places and the expanded 48 nation tournament that will be won and lost. Guys, it's only a couple of long goal kicks away from their Stadio Antonio Aranda on the banks of the Parana River to neighboring Brazil. And it is here where the southeastern Paraguay, with qualification for the World Cup 2026, got underway when they hosted Welcome Peru on 7th September. Later that same evening, just 263 days after they lifted the trophy in Doha, Argentina kicked off their defense as Ecuador made the trip to Buenos Aires. Preliminary competitions for Africa and Asia also began before the end of 2023 as nations battled out for coveted spots at the global finals. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to get right into the Asia Football Federation Conference and how it's gonna be for them. FIFA 26 sees 8 tickets or 8 confirmed spots for the Asians in that conference, and they get one playoff tournament spot. It's a new mode that they've added to the World Cup this year. Before it used to be a conference playoff between two teams. Now it's going to be a mini tournament featuring 6 teams, right? One of them definitely coming from the Asia Conference. And there's huge anticipation across FIFA's most populous confederation with a record 8 teams set for direct qualifications and further birth possible via a playoff tournament. The first round of the FIFA World Cup 26 qualification competition concluded on the 17th of October, and the 20 lowest ranked teams from the confederation contested 10 two-legged home and away ties, with the winners joining the 26 other nations in the second round. Guys, it's going to be very, very active. There are 5 qualification rounds in total and 8 direct slots as Asia has been awarded at the FIFA World Cup 26, with one additional nation progressing to this FIFA playoff tournament. Guys, what are your thoughts in the comments? Let me know what you're thinking. And you know what? I'm going to get my buddy Drex involved as we talk about Africa Cup of Nations. You're mute, bro.
Oh, big up yourself, Mark. Big up everybody in the VR room and everybody taking out time to watch this, whether be it live or after, just chilling and having some popcorn and some drinks, right? Now, to the African Cup of Nations, as we already know, is going on. I'm just gonna briefly talk about that before I go to the World Cup qualifier. It's interesting because Cameroon is out. What should we call it? Equatorial Guinea, who topped Group A, right, the same group as Nigeria, have actually been knocked out of the African Cup of Nations by the bigger Guinea. This is now because in Africa we've got um, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Equatorial Guinea. Now, Guinea-Bissau didn't make it through to the round of 16. Remember, they were in the group with the likes of Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Equatorial Guinea. So now Equatorial Guinea are out to Guinea, who were who qualified as the third best. Yeah, they qualified via the third best placed team in the group stage. They were the second on that group, so they qualified. So they're through to the next round, and they play right now. Yeah, they would play the winners between Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, between Egypt and DRC Congo. At the moment, DRC Congo and Egypt are actually playing a 1-1 draw at the moment. Now, to the World Cup, the it's because of the expansion of the numbers of team in the World Cup as 48 now. Africa sees 9 automatic qualification. Now, it's very interesting because to me, this gives some other countries that we don't used to see them at what stage. Now we're gonna be can they grasp can they take the opportunity that's been availed to them by FIFA increasing the number of teams that's gonna represent they're gonna be featuring in the finals of the World Cup, right? So Africa gets 9, but there is automatic 9 because we have 9 groups of 8 groups of 6, 8 groups of 6, and 1 group of 5. Now that group is supposed to have 6 countries, but Eritrea pulled out. Eritrea pulled out of that group, leaving the likes of leaving the likes of because in group that is in Group E, Eritrea was supposed to be amongst the likes of Morocco, Zambia, Congo. That is the Congo Brazzaville, not the DRC Congo, not the Republic of Congo. This is just Congo, Congo Brazzaville, and Tanzania as well as Niger. But Eritrea pulled out for I can't really remember the reason why at the moment, but now it leaves that group with 5. So by default, it's 9 group, 8 group of 6 teams, and 1 group of 5. So the winners of those group automatically qualifies to the final of the World Cup. Now the runners up of 8 of those group. Now you remember Eritrea is out, so there's no point bringing in the runner up for Group E. So the runner of the best runner up for the runner up for the left rest 8 group, they have to go into a playoff system. Right. So I think I don't know if they're going to be, I don't know what the deal between Asia, Oceania, and all those things, but I feel like
I
the
will
run,
explain it. I will explain that part for you, my bro.
yeah,
Because
but
you're saying the 4 best group runner-ups will compete in a playoff stage to
yeah,
determine their representative for that playoff
for that
tournament.
player,
And
yes.
the playoff tournament includes 1 position from Asia, 1
Hmm.
position from Africa, and when we move on, we will add the other 4 conferences who
Yeah.
get positions in the playoff.
Big up Shay, big up Stephanie Griffiths, big up for the jobs you guys are doing. Thank you so much for pulling up.
Big
So
up to
like
you, Shay.
like I was saying, right? It gives me even okay when we're going to talk about Europe and the rest. I'll tell you, like for now, it gives me it's interesting because I would end up seeing countries that are not that I hope or would not be hoping to see in the World Cup. Like take for example Group B, which have the likes of Senegal, Sudan, um, um, Togo, Mauritania, and South Sudan, as well as is this Cote d'Ivoire, something like that, right? So
Mhm.
they now Senegal and Sudan on the same on 4 points each after 2 games, right? I'm not saying that Sudan might just might win that group, but I'm just saying there's a possibility that what should we call it? Sudan, if Sudan tops that group, we would see them in the World Cup. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an interesting thing to that. Now, if Sudan for some reason finish up as the runners up of that group, they go into the playoff, right? They have a chance to put them on, unlike before where whoever finishes just goes, right? The rest they're not considered. But now Sudan in itself, if they finish as runner up, they have the chance to actually go into the playoffs and give them that's another opportunity for them to actually, you know what, let's see if we could make it. So all of this setup with the 48 teams, one might complain that it might not be, it might just be too much team, but I feel like it gives this other quote unquote small countries that we tend to the ones countries we tend to call small, it gives them, when I mean small in terms of football, not size or whatever it
Mhm,
is, right?
mhm, mhm.
So it gives them
Chances.
more chances of saying, okay, we can actually do it. All we just need to do, if we can top the group, let's try to finish second and take our chances at the playoffs. That's very
100%.
interesting for me.
And I agree with that because you know what? And the only thing I would say when it comes to this is like when all these countries have football, everybody have their own expression. You would find
Hmm.
some regions have similar expressions like CONCACAF and CONEMBOL, right?
Hmm.
There's not much separating CONCACAF and CONEMBOL, right?
Hmm.
You could practically be one region, if you understand, because
Hmm.
some of the teams in CONCACAF are on the continent of South America.
Yeah.
So, in my honest opinion, as we move on to CONCACAF, I feel like, it's one of those things where it gives a lot of these nations a chance, not only to expose their culture to the world, but expose their views on football as well and competence. It will also give the young people a chance to to maybe reach their dreams because, a
Yeah.
youngster from Trinidad, 20 something, 30 something years ago was playing for Manchester United. Who's to
Le-
say that a youngster from let's say Bahamas, Barbados,
I'm,
Antigua,
I'm
Sudan,
I'm gonna add to
Togo.
that. I'm gonna add to that. Who's to say now? Take for example, in the African World Cup qualifying groups, we have in Group G we have Algeria, Botswana, Guinea, Uganda, Mozambique, and Somali. Right?
Mhm,
Um, Now Botswana is actually second in that group. Right? For
mhm.
some reason, like I said again with Sudan, they finish second and they go into the playoffs and they get into the World Cup. That's putting Botswana, that's
Mhm.
showcasing their talent in terms of um football talent. you know
Yeah,
Scouts might be like, okay, we maybe we haven't been looking at some countries, but seeing them at the world stage, right? Even goes to Europe because I believe the numbers of Europe will actually increase as well. So it goes to
yeah.
Europe. I'm like, those countries that we don't get to see in the World Cup, that we get to see only at qualifying stage, right? Because the World Cup is a different kettle of fish, if you know what I mean. Everybody that gets to the final of the World Cup wants to be heard and wants to be seen. They didn't just come there to just mark time and just be like a participant. No, some people actually want to do as well as they can, and some of these stars, like you rightly mentioned, want to put themselves out there to show the world what they are made of. And one more, what opportunity would they have if they could just grace the final of the World Cup? But for some people, it might just be too much teams. But I think 48 is just perfect, in my opinion. It gives
I
people
think
more
it should be more
opportunity.
like 56 or something like that, but that's just me. And the only reason I would say that is because when you have a contingent from Africa, which where it have 56 nations competing, you know, in the same regards, it have 49 nations competing in Asia. It have 38 nations competing in CONCACAF. And then when you look at, as I move on, you will understand why I'm saying that because it have a conference that have at least 10 places and they only have 12 teams, if you
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying. So CONCACAF, is a different one for CONCACAF this round because the tournament is being hosted by CONCACAF nations, three of them, USA, Canada, and Mexico. They are the three automatic qualifiers from this group. And it also now leaves three more direct berth to the World Cup. So there are three more teams that could directly qualify from CONCACAF. I'm hoping it's going to be Trinidad and Tobago, maybe a Jamaica, and maybe like a Costa Rica or maybe a Haiti or something like that to be
Mm-hmm.
one of those three teams to qualify first.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike Africa and Asia, CONCACAF has received two tournament playoff spots. So
Andre.
therefore, it's going to be two teams that finishes probably fourth and fifth are going to
Mm-hmm.
be the teams that end up into that place. So co-host Canada, Mexico, and USA all receive their automatic berths. In the second round, there are a total of 30 CONCACAF teams that will compete in 6 groups of 5. The
Yeah.
nations will play each other team once, and the home and away. So it's like you're playing 6 matches in all,
Yeah.
and the two group winners and runners up.
Yeah.
It will be 12 teams in total will progress to the final round, and these 12 nations will be split into 3 groups of 4. Within
Mm-hmm.
each group of 4, the teams will play each other home and away, and the 3 group winners will qualify directly, joining hosts Canada, Mexico, and USA, and the 2 best second place finishers will qualify for the FIFA playoff tournament. And if you look at the CONCACAFs, it's kind of very similar to how it is in Africa, but we have currently right now we have 6 groups of 5 teams. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And
Yeah.
there's one special issue that's going on with 2 of these groups, Group E and Group F. There are 4 teams that will be competing in those groups, and the winner of said groups of Group E will play the British Virgin Islands or US Virgin Islands, and the Group F winner will play either Turks and Caicos or Anguilla, right?
Mm.
And this is because because of where they are located, they will be competing amongst themselves in a sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, and they are also taking part in the tournament, the Copa America this year. Those 2 teams, that's why they are exempt from this qualifying round. So the round is pretty interesting because Trinidad and Tobago falls in Group B, which I would say is one of the tougher groups. Where we are host to Costa Rica, Saint Kitts and Nevis, Bahamas, and Grenada.
Mm-hmm. That's my country.
But
Saint,
Grenada,
no, Saint Kitts and Nevis.
yeah, big up to St. Kitts and Nevis, bro. I would think, to be fair, I think the Group E is one of the toughest groups, actually. I think we
Mm-hmm.
have a tough group, but Group E is certainly very tough. It has Jamaica, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, and Dominica in that
Oh
group. And
yeah.
I think Guatemala and the Dominican Republic are tough opposition. Group F has El Salvador, Suriname, and Puerto Rico. I would not really like to meet Guatemala right now, or Panama, or Nicaragua, because those, for me,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Spanish
yeah.
teams in our in
It's
our
up.
in our in our thing have that kind of vibe like South America,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always good to play against them. Don't be fair, and we usually beat them to be fair, but when we go away to them, it's usually very tough to get calls out down the middle, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So we usually have to make sure that we win the games at home. And it's one of those things where it's going to be a brief tournament, guys. One of those things for us, we're going to be enjoying it because I'm going to be covering it on this channel, covering Road to the World Cup CONCACAF. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure Drex is going to cover the African qualifications.
Oh,
Um,
I'd cover. Oh my days. I love the World Cup. Trust me.
you
If
know what I mean? And
I'm a.
Sachiv, I'm getting Kenny Fan TV to cover Asia Cup of Asia qualifications, guys. And you know what?
Mm,
I'm going to be getting Jarvis and Mick to do, or Papi to do the ones for Europe.
mm,
So what I mean, like it's gonna be one of those things where it's gonna be a lot of football to watch, guys. And I know each and every one of you have your countries that you support, and it's just for us informing you all on the standard and the format of this new tournament and the style.
mhm,
And as we move on from CONCACAF, guys, we move straight along, and we're gonna talk about the next in my opinion, one of the bigger conferences in terms of football heritage, and it's called CONEMBOL. You know, there are 6 tickets, 6 guaranteed spots for CONEMBOL, and they will be receiving 1 spot for the playoff tournament, which will take that tournament up to 5 teams so far. And
mhm,
there are 10 teams competing in that single league format in CONEMBOL, guys. There's only 10 teams competing in that conference, and everyone knows those 10 teams. They are all highly ranked in the top 50 in the world. You know what I mean? Need I explain or call them out so you guys, you know? You want me to do you need me to explain about the teams in
In the
CONEMBOL?
CONEMBOL,
Yeah,
I
let me
think
let
it's
me
the
just
South
give a brief.
American.
Let me just give you a brief on the South American qualifications because we
Hmm.
know, there's Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, Paraguay, Venezuela, which is my neighbors from Trinidad and Bolivia. I know these are the 10 teams qualifying. The lowest ranked two teams are ranked 57th and 83rd. That's Venezuela and Bolivia, respectively. Ecuador and Paraguay are ranked in the 40s. Chile is ranked 32nd, while Peru is 21st. All the other teams are ranked in the top 20. That means Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Colombia. Pretty strong conference, guys. You know what I mean? And their qualification has begun already. And the way it works is that the top six teams will qualify, and the team in seventh will directly go to the tournament, the playoff tournament. So it's pretty simple. They don't have much drama like CONCACAF and Africa, who we have lots of teams that still have to compete if they don't win the group in order to qualify to go to the playoff tournament. And that playoff tournament is going to be featuring six teams. And as I was talking about it, guys, let me just give you the final two conferences, and we're going to move straight on to Oceania conference, which features one guaranteed spot, and they get the one berth to the playoffs, guys. You know what I mean? The final playoff spot to the playoff tournament goes to Oceania. And if you don't know who the conference, that conference features teams like New Zealand,
Mm.
Australia, Togo, and the like, guys. Fiji and these guys are in Oceania. You know what I mean? It's one of those conferences that, I'm not too knowledgeable on, but you know what? Australia usually gets that ticket, that first spot, and it's usually someone like a Tanzania or like a New Zealand competing for the playoff. Guys, I think it's going to be interesting as we're going to see more teams from each conference. The UEFA conference, or in other words, Europa, they have 16 guaranteed spots.
16.
16.
Ooh, ooh, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, I think it's interesting that they all got they got 16. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? At the same time, not mad at it. A
Hmm.
lot of people might be saying, why do they get 16? But Europe is basically one of the top spots for football. You can't really dispute that. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
hard not to disagree with the fact that they would have the most spot teams competing in the tournament. It's pretty normal from my opinion. You know what I mean? And the quality of football is good. It's very, very high, and there's a standard around Europe, to be fair, if you want to go that far.
Hmm.
And they would be having 16 spots, and the usual suspects, guys. Europe has most of their teams are in the top 20 as well, so it's one of those things where you're going to see like the likes of France, England, Italy, Germany, Spain, Portugal competing. You know what I mean, guys? And then there's still like Slovenia, Serbia, Russia. Well, Russia is
Hmm.
banned, but there's Poland and all these other teams, the Netherlands as well. Lots of teams to compete, and they will be all fighting for 16 spots. When last World Cup tied, they had 12. So four more teams from Europe ain't that bad. You know what I mean?
Yep, 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 yep.
And the playoff tournament, this one is gonna be happening where you will, like we were saying, there are six teams that are gonna fight for the final two places, right? And the playoff tournament is a little bit weird. And when I say weird, I'm gonna explain it like this: the teams, the six teams, and who go to that playoff tournament, the teams that are ranked the highest, meaning if a team is ranked 21st and all the other teams are ranked 50, 40, 60, those kind of numbers in the
Hmm.
world, in terms of world ranking, then the two teams ranked the highest go directly to the finals.
Hmm.
There are two separate finals in the brackets, right? There's So it's going to be three teams fighting to play in our final. In one four team, it's going to be three teams fighting to play in our final, and three teams fighting to play in our final on the other side. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So the two highest ranked teams will be the two teams playing in the final, and the other teams will be competing to play against those teams.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if Trinidad was to go to the final, we are ranked currently we are ranked 51st, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
or either 51st or 37th in the world right now. I think it's 37th. If we were ranked 37th and we go to the tournament, and let's say there's a team like, I don't know, Uruguay or something, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
then they are the only team higher ranked. Then they will play in one final, and we would play in the other final, and the other four teams will compete against themselves. Then the winners will play against us.
This World Cup is gonna be interesting though because, like I said, we're gonna be seeing. I hope we see new faces, not just the regular. Um, yeah, I hope we just see new faces, new
I
teams.
definitely want to see a return to the World Cup because since 2026, bro, it's been 20 years. I can't wait. And you know what? It's right. It's not far from home. You know what I mean?
Obvious,
It's not far
100%.
from the
Yeah.
Caribbean. It's going to be a very good weather condition for teams like from Africa and South America and North America and the CONCACAF regions because you know what? At that time of year, it's going to be very hot, humid,
Oh
you know,
yes. Oh yes.
prime
Yeah.
weather for us to do business against the European teams who usually enjoy a colder climate, you know?
I just hope they take the opportunity. That's all I hope for.
Yeah, you gotta, everyone has to fight, you know what I mean? And everyone has to show their support, all the players, that's why I keep banging the drum, Drex. I want Jaden Sancho in my Trinidad team to captain my team. You know what I mean? Could you imagine? You could
Mhm.
imagine a Jaden Sancho running out in my red, white, and black, bro. Come like Dwight York playing at the World Cup for Trinidad all over again, big player, Manchester United player. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
have a lot of, for me, now this make football so interesting because, before it was a little bit, it was easier for,
Mhm.
big footballing nations to have talent who could represent smaller nations. And
Mhm.
they would all be fighting to represent the bigger nations because they have dual citizenship, which is amazing. And congrats to them, for the opportunity. And but now with the fact that the tournament has expanded, I would like to see a lot of those players who would have been fighting for those positions say to
Yeah.
themselves, you know what? I could go and fight for the lesser nation and still go to the World Cup, and it might have more players like me
No,
at
so,
my level, and we could, make a better team
but
just as good.
some of them want to be in a team that would some of them would just want to be in a team that will give them the chance or give them the opportunity at like that they stand the chance with to win the competition. For
Yeah,
some, representing the country at the World Cup is a big feat to them, right? But and winning it, adding is another is it's just like a cup, right? But for them to represent their country at the global stage, the World Cup, it's a big thing for them. But some other players just want to see, okay, for those of like you rightly said, dual citizenship, right? Okay, which country do I stand a better chance with at winning the competition, right? Not just so it's how you see it is how people tend to see it from all angle. But for me, it's the World Cup. Ain't nothing bigger than the World Cup, in my opinion. There's nothing bigger than the World Cup. It's the World Cup. It's the World Cup.
for
Like
me too. You know what I
like
mean?
if you get like a new host, a new country, even if it's a country you've been to before, it gives you another perspective going into that country, seeing fans from different part of the world, right? Get to share in those emotions that would come, get to mingle. Even some people even get to meet their better halves in such places. Some people get good business deals in such places, and it's just it's why we love the game called football. It kind of unites the world. So yeah, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it.
Bro, I just so excited because you know what, the group that I end up in for qualifying at CONCACAF, it just making me feel, my real competition in that group is really just Costa Rica. Like St. Kitts and Nevis are a decent team, but as the
No,
record
then
show,
they are
Trinidad is
strong.
one of the powerhouses in the Caribbean. So, not we usually get past the rest of the team. So I'm just hoping that, we go out for it, do our best, and come away with a top spot in that group so we could qualify and probably play a lesser team,
Mm-hmm.
and avoid the likes of like a else of playing like a Jamaica to qualify, or
Mm-hmm.
playing a Guatemala or
Mm-hmm.
maybe Panama.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to, or Costa Rica. I would like to win my group, like
Mm-hmm.
most teams, like the top teams. I would like to win my group, and just go on in the next round, in the last round, where we in a group where we probably shoe in to win the group. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or we have to perform to win the group, but still, I think we could win even if we was to go to. Let me just say, if I look at the current teams in CONCACAF, and I say, I'm gonna pick, the top teams, right? The top 12 out of each
Mm-hmm.
group. I would probably say Cuba, Honduras out of Group A. I would say Costa Rica, Trinidad and Tobago. But you never know. St. Kitts has been performing well. I've seen them play against Curacao and Haiti, and they've done well against them. They have a nice young striker who seems to be getting a lot of the ball, and he's very dangerous in and about the box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Haiti and maybe Curacao might top that Group C. Maybe Panama
Mm-hmm.
and either Montserrat or Nicaragua. Jamaica and Guatemala definitely screaming out to me as the top winners of Group E. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for the last group, it's that last group tricky because I think St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a really good squad. But then
Mm.
again, they have Suriname, and Suriname would be bolstered by the fact that they have a team called Robin Hood who just won the Caribbean Champions League. And they have a young striker who's played for Robin Hood that would be starting for Suriname, and I think he's very dangerous. But at the end of the day, St. Vincent, Puerto Rico, El Salvador, that's going to be a tough experience. Is going to be a lot. You know what I mean? So I'll probably pick a El Salvador and a St. Vincent for that group to qualify. And if those are the top teams, if
Mm-hmm.
I was, as long as I do end up in a group with Jamaica and a Guatemala, I good to go.
Right now, my country sits third in group C, with it's shocking. Rwanda and South Africa. Rwanda topping the group, South Africa in second. It's just we've got what we just had 2 match days already, so I think we still have about 4 to go before the return leg of each game. So yeah, we might see what happens at the end of the day. Even if my country doesn't go, it means that we weren't the better team actually did qualify. So I hope to see new faces, like I say, and I hope one of my country is part of those people that keeps. I think we're not there in the last World Cup, so but this time around, I want us to actually be there and just increase the excitement for me.
100%. And for me is when they look at it, right? You remember Lee Boyer?
Yeah.
He's the coach of Montserrat. And this
Oh.
was funny. A lot of the Caribbean islands have a long history with big coaches who not only represented England but have storied histories in English clubs like Terry Fenwick and the like.
Mhm.
Guys, you know how it is, bro. It was amazing. Thanks for joining us. We just wanted to bring you this information and explain to you a bit how qualification is going to go for the
Mhm.
different confederations: Asia
Mhm.
Confederation, Africa Confederation, CONCACAF, CONEMBOL, UEFA, and OCEANA. I'm pretty sure that this video is going to serve a lot of you coming up to the World Cup when you're looking out for information on why and how this works like this, and how could my country qualify. Check us out. Don't be afraid. Smash those like buttons, guys. Thank you for Stephanie Griffith always coming in. Big up to you. Always celebrating us. Big up to Shea Arsenal fan. Always coming in and smashing the likes. You know how it is, guys. The dynamic duo of Drex and Mark in the building. And we will be live coming up for the World Cup qualifiers, which are going to start pretty soon. And we'll be showing them on our channels. And don't forget to check out D Hub Sports, guys. Check out Drex's channel. He's doing the Africa Cup of Nations right now. Disappointing for me, Nigeria sent Cameroon packing and Onana parachuting back into Old Trafford, for the game against Wolves, which I hope he does not play because I would love to see Bayende. I think what I've seen tonight from Bayende in the FA Cup is a keeper who could definitely give confidence to the defenders that he can get to those balls no matter which side of the goal they are shot at, And thank you for joining us. Big up to you all. Leave your comments and your criticisms in the non-live section. Let us know which World Cup team you support, because I support Trinidad and Tobago and Italy. Drex supports Nigeria
And
and,
Portugal.
and Portugal. No St. Kitts and Nevis, bro.
If they're not
Hey,
going, if they qualify, oh, I put Nigeria and St. Kitts. Then leave Portugal because you can't get three, right? So you might as just get two. But if they do qualify, Nigeria and St. Kitts. But if they don't, it's Nigeria and Portugal.
well, I usually support Trinidad and Tobago and Italy, guys. So you know what? It's always good in the hood.
Don't forget tomorrow. There's the Clash of the Titans game in the African Cup of Nations. 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Senegal plays Ivory Coast.
Big up.
It's tomorrow, and we'll be doing a watch along. It will be streaming to this channel as well, and also Day Up Sports. So keep an eye
Big up.
on that
Make
one
sure you
tomorrow.
come in and check it out. Smash the like buttons and share it around, guys, because it's Africa Cup of Nations. It's the big boys. Ghana. I always say
Senegal.
Ghana, bro. I don't know why I always be saying Ghana.
Because
Senegal versus Ivory
you
Coast.
love Senegal and Ivory Coast tomorrow.
Manja's team is doing well. Your team is doing well.
But
Let's see who progresses to the final.
Manji's saying that tomorrow he feels like Senegal are going home. I don't see that happening, but we just have to wait and see
Bro,
until
you
tomorrow.
never know. Yeah, football is one of those games where upsets can happen. It's a day of the 11 players on the field who's doing best,
100%.
as a team and not just who's the better players. Guys, it's been your boys, Admiral Drex and Mark, and MUFC fan, and this has been your World Cup 2026 United Pathways to Qualification. Hope you all have a good night. See you all tomorrow for AFCON Cup of Nations. Be here or be square. Smash those like buttons and subscribe. And don't forget to share it around, guys. Hope you all have a good evening, and we'll be catching you all later. Have
Peace.
a good one. Everyone, enjoy. Much to be seen. Guys, you know how it is. Always